Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It's Jose here again to talk about another book review. This time, Empire of Silence, that was it, by American author Christopher Ruocchio, which is book one in the Suneater series, which is part of the read along that I am doing with Ian from B&B Books. And the intention was to read this series this year, 2023. However, because we both want to have it in paperback and because of the timings, we're going to be doing one book every 2 months. So we did Empire of Silence in January, and we're hoping to pick The Howling Dark book 2 in March. However, The Howling Dark is not available anywhere in Europe in any of the Amazon pages I've checked from all over Europe. So I'm going to order it and see what happens. But anyway, Empire of Silence, first published in 2019, and Christopher Ruocchio, a fairly proliferate author, pulling out one every year. So book 2 was published in 2020, and then 2021, then books 4 and 5 came both in 2022. So looks like he's not going to pull George R.R. Martin here on us. Now what we've got is a space opera, so think of Star Wars, think of Dune, sort of set way in the future, which is a bit of a departure for me. And we follow Hadrian Marlowe, which is the scion, the heir, the son of a noble house that rules a planet somewhere in this huge universe. But Hadrian is at odds with what his father expects from him, and he escapes the planet and sets on his adventures. And throughout the book, we are fed bits and pieces of what is coming over the series, culminating in him sort of exploding a star, a sun, hence, I suppose, the Sun Eater, which is the overall title for the series. Now, this was recommended to us by Drew when we had the live discussion, when Ian and I were deciding what series to pick for 2023, and it was sold to us, so it comes with the tag of being sci-fi for fantasy lovers, and I can see that. At times, you forget that you are reading a book set in outer space across planets, and it does have a feel of the fantasy. To the point where I've got some issues with the world building, because yes, some things sound really sci-fi-esque things, so children are not anymore born through, or they're not carried to birth by the woman, but they are sort of put in a vat together, and the fetus grows inside a vat and eventually comes out, whatever. And there's all the space travel and stuff like that. But there are things that are heavily medieval-esque in the field, and I'm not entirely sold on the world, because why would they still write in vellum in 20,000 years' time? And also the way human thought and patterns are moving forward. In 20,000 years' time, there shouldn't be a religion, and yet in this world that Christopher Ruocchio has created, the humans still believe in Mother Earth, and there's still this sort of chantry, this sort of organized religion going on, which is a little bit weird. And then you also have the fighting in the Colosseum, much like in the Roman times. I don't know. The whole world building, I don't fully buy it. I don't fully buy it because it sort of screeches a little bit to have these sort of elements of medieval sort of feel to in a sci-fi world. Equally, there's a bit of effectively lightsabers. They still carry lightsabers, a bit like in Star Wars type thing. And there are some tropes borrowed from classic fantasy. So our hero spends some time living in the gutters, and then he goes to become basically a gladiator in the Colosseum. And there's certain elements that we have seen before, but overall, I think the book suffers from being sort of a setup book, and there's a lot of exposition to get through. It wasn't boring, it wasn't tedious, but it was a little bit slow. And I think there were a couple of sort of false premises that sort of hint that they're gonna go somewhere, and then they sort of die on the tracks. And I'm talking about mostly about the relationships that Hadrian builds with some of the secondary characters, of which actually it takes a long time for the characters that that are going to be important in that sort of supporting role in the series going forward. It takes a long time for them to appear, and they're not really that engaging. I mean, even I think our main character Hadrian isn't sort of that engaging, but it's interesting, and there's a little bit of a mystery around the series. Overall, I suppose the story is that there is this sort of race of outer space creatures, the Cielsim, pronunciation unknown, who are at odds with the humans, and there's a sort of forgotten religion type thing, and there's going to be this clash of the two species fighting for the supremacy of the universe, sort of thing, and why, or who do they worship, and why, and what's their role, and what's happening. I suppose that's going to be the driving sort of main argument there. I don't think that for now the series has touched on any fundamental themes. It seems to be more of a plot of a character kind of book that may change going forward. But I think it is right that we've decided to do one book every 2 months. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with the books. I think everything is consistent. There's one thing, but I may leave it for the live discussions once we figure out Ian's agenda for February. We'll do a full live chat of the book. There's one Deus Ex Machina moment there involving Hadrian's mother, but we'll talk about it there. But other than that, there's nothing wrong at all with the book. I think it's a correct sort of first book in a series. The next ones, particularly book 2, I think seems to be a lot longer. So I'm happy to do one every 2 months. And there's a couple of novellas that actually I am going to pick up and read. I don't think Ian's going to do it, but I am intrigued enough, and they seem to be short enough that I'm very interested. And I think I really want to get involved with this series. But early to tell. As a first book, it's okay. There's a lot of promise, but that's it for now. So I'm not wowed, but I'm interested enough and curious enough to continue. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you've read the book and you think otherwise, or you think likewise, please comment, like and share. Let me know what you think. I look forward to seeing some of you, anyone, when we do the live chat and sharing your thoughts and opinions on this book. Take loads and loads of care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.